For my digital oral history, I decided to interview my mother, Bernadette Lane. I decided to interview my mom because her home life, childhood, and education were extremely different from what I experienced. Education has evolved so much over the past 50 years, and I wanted to be able to highlight all those differences by asking my mom questions about her schooling. Where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Ireland and lived there until I was 18.
What was your home life like?
My home life was very busy. I had a lot of chores to do. We had a farm, so I had to take care of the milking sometimes and help with the pigs, and I had a lot of chores to do, so the chores were busy all the time.
Did you go to a public or private school?
I went to a public school, but in Ireland everything revolved around religion, so you could say that the church had a lot of influence.
What were your teachers like?
The teachers we had were extremely strict. I would say they were able to use a stick and give you a smack if they felt like it. And we had a mix of lay teachers and nuns, and the nuns were quite strict.
What is the highest level of education you completed?
Secondary school was my highest level of education. I dropped out before I finished, and later on when I came to America, I did my GED here.
What do you think is the biggest difference between school now and when you were young?
Now it's modernized. There's a lot of there's a lot of technology. We had none, so it's quite a different base for education. And the teachers wouldn't be allowed to hit you now, otherwise there would be a problem.
What is your strongest memory from your schooling, good or bad?
Okay, so my worst memory of school was when I was in sixth grade, I think it was, a class trip we had planned and we had saved to go on this trip for so long and we were so excited. And then one day, to our disappointment, the canon came in his Audi and told us we were not allowed to have this trip because the money needed to go to the church for the renovation of it. So that's my worst memory. I will never forget it.
What kind of technology, if any, was used during your education?
We had no technology. There was none at all. We had the very basic blackboard and chalk.
Do you think you would have benefited more if there was technology when you were in school?
Yes, I think we had just the basic way of learning or teaching in those days, and if we had technology, it would have helped those that needed extra help, like people with dyslexia or people with learning disabilities. So I think it's much more accommodating today, and people get to where they need to get to in their education much easier today.
Overall, were you satisfied with the education you received?
No, I would say I did not. I would not be satisfied with my education. I would say I should have stayed in school longer, and there was a lot more that I could have known if I had known then how important it is to be educated. Of course, education was not the priority back when I went to school.
In conclusion, the education that my mom received is very different from my or most American students' education. Her schooling focused greatly on religion and mostly put the church before the students. I feel lucky to have received the education that I did, and although technology was not an enormous component of my schooling, I am excited and feel prepared to use technology to benefit my future students in their education.